Scott Souza here with CLNS Media. I'm here with Jeff Twiss, who's the Vice President of Media Relations and Vice President of Alumni Services with the Boston Celtics, and as Vice President of the Alumni Services, obviously being here for 38 years, you knew John Havlicek as well as anybody in the organization. You know, just from my perspective, having been around as long as I have, about 15 years, I didn't know him as a player as much with the Boston Celtics as I knew him as a guy who would come to practice, come to the games, and the thing that always came to my mind was the words were distinguished and gentleman when he was around. He had a presence about him. What about yourself? What really stood out about John Havlicek during his playing years, from what you know watching him growing up, and then in your role now with the Celtics?
Certainly, Scott, and thanks for letting me share a few minutes with you. John, I will easily say, was the consummate professional. He really was, on the parquet floor and off the parquet floor. And anybody who ever knew him would say he was graceful, very considerate, very generous with his time, and whenever he would make I don't want to use the word criticism, but a suggestion, it was always positive, and he always had a smile. So he came away saying, wow, and he'd say, okay, you think this? He'd slap you on the back and say, go do it. And you always felt good about what he suggested, what he recommended. So it was an absolute treat to be around him. He was a joy. He really was. We lost a good one.
He certainly never seemed like one of those back in my day athletes that you had for a while there in the NBA, especially when things took a turn in the 80s. He was one of those guys who really wanted to keep contributing to the Celtics legacy.
He did.
What do you think it meant for him? Not as much in recent years, because he had gotten a little bit older, and Jaylen Brown talked today about how he never really met him, and it seems almost unfortunate that some of the younger players today didn't get to know him. But even going back 10 years with players like Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo and Paul Pierce, when he was around a lot more during the Doc Rivers era. I know that Doc Rivers really embraced it when some of the legends would come by. What do you think are the types of things that he imparted upon them?
Well, I think his character, his leadership, his quiet understanding of people and the game, and somehow he can incorporate into a very professional, almost, I'll use the word, smooth manner about him. And as I said, you came away enthralled because you kept listening on every word he said, and every word he said had meaning, had impact, and had great significance. And I think that's what the players from Doc Rivers' era and some who have had a chance to meet him over recent years were very fortunate enough to do so, in the fact that we knew he was special. And you're right, a lot of times he wouldn't have to come by a practice facility, or he would call me on the phone, Scott, and say, gee, how's player X doing? He had recent setbacks, and how's his ankle coming back from surgery? And I'm sitting there going, my word, A, John Havlicek called me, and B, he wasn't a consultant, he wasn't an advisor, he wasn't connected with the team per se in any way, but his love and loyalty remained forever with the green and white.
And word has it the Celtics will be doing some things to try to honor him as much as possible in the next couple of games throughout this playoffs.
We will. That'll be announced in further details. We're still working out. But yes, we're doing some proper ways of remembering John in numerous ways, whether it be through video or items to wear or something on the uniform. We'll be talking with Beth, his wife, and Chris and Jill, the kids, to do the right and proper thing for the family and for fans as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much for taking on a couple of minutes, Scott. So we're here along with Jeff Twiss on the passing of John Havlicek, Celtics legend.